Oh my God. Isn't that weird?
Yeah,
It's like, boom, right there in the center. It's like, hey. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Monday night. That's right. Yep. Monday night, Car Stereo Talk. You know what you're saying? Wait a minute. Another guest? You guys said, hey, can we have guests? And, I mean, I get it. I mean, it's no... Yeah, Mary Lou, but I mean, whatever.
It's Josh.
Josh.
I'd like to think I'm at least half as cool.
So you can tell by his shirt, he works for this little company called Kenwood, which is JVC Kenwood. You know what? So his name is Josh, and we'll let it go from there. Josh, explain to the boys and girls who you are and what you do.
So my job is to actively read the comments on their lives and just reply with Kenwood info. No, I'm just no. I'm a product specialist for JVC Kenwood, so I cover a lot of the East Coast actually all of the East Coast territory. I get to travel around and train dealers and have a good time. So obviously there's a lot more behind it than that, but
no, there's no more behind it than that. It's just what it is.
Yeah,
this is what it is. So he's in town to do some Kenwood training tomorrow night, and he was like, hey. Let's, can I stop by? And we're like, of course you could stop by. So we thought it'd be nice to have, Seth has been on the phone with us for the last hour. So he's at home designing some stuff for, JVC at the moment. Hey, what's going on? So we didn't get a chance to talk about it much. I was going to talk about it Thursday when I was, on the Hi-Fi Vegas show.
How was it?
They couldn't pull Seth. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I'm just the Wish version of him. That's all.
What's up? So, anyways, you can get your questions. We're going to be answering questions. It's going to be a normal show that I would do. We're just going to have Seth here to help us with the questions. So,
Seth,
yep, we're going to have Seth here, aka Josh. Here to play along with us. What I was going to say is that we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but JVC, obviously the company he works for, it's divided in, all these companies are divided into so many different fractions. And you're in this weird company part of it because you service both JVC and Kenwood.
Yeah, I work for both brands. So it depends on what questions I'm answering based on what shirt I'm wearing at the time.
Yeah, it's when Seth comes on, he'll half of the show will be JVC and then he'll pull the shirt off, it'll be Kenwood.
Yep.
But JVC actually is hiring Fernando and I to do a Best Buy event, which Best Buy is a whole nother portion of a whole different group of people at JVC Group. I say one guy at JVC that works on that, and we're going to go do that. So that'll be in next month.
It's a fun show, though.
I honestly, when he started talking about it, I was like, yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it.
It is.
I don't care. We just want to do it.
It's everyone pulls out all the stops, man.
Yeah.
It's a good show. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, 1057 in my RAM. Very good. Yeah,
very good.
Love it. But anyways, Josh has experience as a retailer. This isn't his first rodeo. We were just talking about he worked as an installer for 10 years.
Yep.
So he's not just a pretty face that knows how to play drums.
Right.
With a very thick, robust beard.
I know it's gotten a little long. I need to get it down a bit.
It's definitely you got the Grizzly Adam things going on.
I know.
And it's all one color, which is great. You're young.
No, there's several grays in here.
Is there?
They won't show up here, but you can see them when you look close.
Well, I mean, you can see mine from there. So
I've even got.
You don't have to zoom in.
Yeah, you don't have to zoom in. Oh, dude, did you see the picture that Bill Freeman posted of one of the videos we did like 10 years ago?
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, oh my God, I remember.
You guys behind the counter.
Yeah. And he's like, oh my God, how young Fernando looked. And I was like,
that's how I say thank you, guys.
Yeah. He's almost 40.
I'm not.
He's almost 40.
You don't look a day over
25,
39.
man. It's 25. You're kidding me.
So anyways, we're going to jump right into the show. It's a great, like I said, get the questions in. Fernando's queuing them up now. But before we do that, hey, we do this little page called the 12 Volt Clean Wire Club, which I'm sure you're a member of.
I am?
Of course. It is just a little group. What's up, Gary? How you doing, buddy? And every week, Fernando scares. Oh, Tommy who?
Hey, Tommy.
He's been on the show a couple times.
Yeah.
I know this is your virgin show.
Yeah. Well, I did the one with you guys where I came in on the call.
Yes.
This is my first time.
Okay, so this is first time in person. Okay, so I take all that back. Anyways, we have this 12 Volt Clean Wire Club little page to do it every week. Fernando scours the images for the one he loves best. And this week we have one. Fernando, whose do we have?
This one is Eastside from Lake Town in Utah.
So this guy works with Angel.
This guy works
with Angel. This dude works with Angel.
And if you go to the page and click, it's 2 JL amplifiers side by side. It looks nice.
Yeah, check it out. Nice. Dougie Fresh in the house.
Up, buddy?
Hey, Doug, what's up, buddy?
First time in the studio. Yeah, he's been here twice.
Yeah.
I
mean, I've been here before. It's just my first time.
Isn't that a Lambo? Yeah, it is a Lambo, and Esai did kill it.
Yeah.
So Esai is the 12-volt clean wire challenge, or 12-volt. What do we call it?
Yeah.
12.
The clean wire challenge.
Jeez,
yeah, Master Tech.
Yeah. So Master Tech clean wire challenge. Next year, Pierce has to come back and because he won
the title,
so he has to fight for the title, and we have to pick 7 new people. So I've already picked Esai, whether he wants to come or not. So Esai is coming as one of my picks because he's submitted enough work to where it's like, no, he's coming. So Angel competed last year, but we're gonna get Esai this year for sure. And so that means we have 6 spots open. So for all you guys that are posting pictures, make sure you keep posting pictures because that's we're not going to ask you to submit pictures. We're just going to go through and find the people we like, and we're going to do that.
Pick Doug.
First time, Dougie Fresh. You know what? I would love to see Doug compete. I don't know if he could do it though, because he's got to lean over that table, and the old guy back thing might kick in.
No, but we're gonna change that because
no, we're not raising the tables. No, they got to be down low where everyone can see them. But no, that would be fun. I would love to see Doug, and then if HKI sponsors it again, I would make sure Doug got like Focal, just to drive Diogo insane. Be like, why can't my guy get? Why can't my guy get ground zero? Like, sorry, man. Yeah, it just didn't work out. But anyways, so that's what's going on. Good job, Esai. You made the cover. And that's what we got there. All right, Fernando, hit us with some questions.
All right, so we only have one right now.
That's okay.
It's good.
I bought a T1005. How do you feel about Rockford? Big fan? You like Matthew? You got your Rockford tattoo?
I don't have a Rockford tattoo, but I mean, I sold it for a very long time.
Yeah. So I went back and watched your Mitsubishi Lancer video and noticed you used an 8-gauge kit. I know this amplifier has 4-gauge inputs, but very small. Is 8-gauge enough to run it? It does. Okay, so this is kind of my problem with this amplifier. I don't know if you've ever. He's talking about the micro T's.
Yeah.
And they say it's supposed to take 4-gauge. Have you ever tried to put a 4-gauge into that?
I can't say that I have.
No, and I can't say that I have either because there's no way. You'd have to literally sand the 4-gauge down to almost nothing because there's no way you can fit a 4-gauge in this. And it really kind of annoys. This is the one amp that annoys me a ton. We have always run an 8-gauge to this amplifier, and we have never had a problem with it. So, yes, we always use an 8-gauge in this because but to be fair, we always use the highest quality 8-gauge, most strand count we can get. So we're using most of the time we're using like the Silver Stinger Pro stuff or the blue or whatever. Sometimes we use the red, but we're always using the best that we can have access to. And it's usually a short run. So it's usually like we're very rarely putting it into the back of the car. It's usually going under the seat, which means we can do a shorter run power wire at that point, which there again, the shorter the power wire run, the thinner the wire can be. But that's one of the reasons why I mounted up close is because there's no way you're going to fit a full size 4-gauge into this amplifier. It really sucks.
And I know the manufacturers actually says you have to use, but
here, see this little hole? Put a 4-gauge in it for me, will you? So I got to sit there like I'm trimming your hair.
Yep.
Like Edward Scissorhands this thing up.
I love that movie.
Do you?
Yeah.
What do you think? You seen the Edward Scissorhands?
I am a fan.
Are you a fan?
I am a fan.
You like it because it was filmed here in Florida?
No, I just like the movie.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know it was filmed here in Florida? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Nice. That whole painted city thing?
Yeah.
All was awesome.
The Truman Show was a movie that was filmed where I live, and I like that one because it was filmed where I live.
Oh, okay.
But it's also a good movie.
Punisher was filmed in where I live. They were the John Travolta one.
Okay.
But I hated that movie.
I can't say that I saw that one.
Yeah, it sucks so bad. It sucks so bad. MB Quartz. Oh, have you seen the new MB Quartz? The ones that they have made in Germany?
Mm-mm.
So, MB Quartz, obviously, you remember MB Quartz. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. And German Maestro is the old MB Quartz.
Okay.
So German. So when all that when Rockford bought them and then sold them and all this, and so the Germans were like, you ain't taking this stuff out of our facility to move to China. So they sued them.
Oh.
And so German Maestro was formed from all of this because they were like, we're keeping all this. You can't have it. So they said, fine. Sorry, Maxonic. And so the stuff isn't, they made all new stuff. It's over at their facilities in China. And so that's the current MB Court. But then this year, which we found out last year when we were at Go Fast, because we were talking with them, they went to German Maestro and were like, hey, we want you to build us a set of speakers.
What's going on,
so we can,
buddy?
Be German, have a set of German-made MB Court speakers. I didn't get to read the question, so I have no idea what it was. Sorry about that. Anyway, so we got to see a pair when we were at Vegas. All right, a Jeep. All right, MB Court has Jeep JL OEM stereo replacement kit. Alpine has the OEM and their aftermarket stuff. Is Kenwood thinking of Jeep specific stuff? It's funny how you're looking at me for that one.
You're like, no, but it's like, what are you going to say? Stop it.
I just don't want to. At this time, I can't say that we have any plans to release anything. For anything like that.
Well, so I will say this though, to be fair, iData came out with the Jeep kit, which is made to work with shallow mount radios.
Right. Yeah.
Kenwood came out with the 958.
Yeah. No, of course.
Which is shallow mount radio. Mm-hmm. So the reality is you could put a 958 in a Jeep now.
Yeah, that was actually the biggest thing I was excited about whenever I saw the new lineup coming. Because up until this time, I don't think we could fit an XR receiver into a Jeep JL at all. So the fact that is now a shallow chassis with our best technology in it, I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And it's USB-C, which is fabulous.
3 amp, 15 watt fast charging.
There you go. What's up, Mel?
What's up, Mel?
So
congratulations, buddy.
To answer that, I think there's enough products out there that we were having this discussion with another manufacturer that is coming out with a product here soon that everyone will find out about soon enough. And so what we do a lot of the times in Jeeps, if we're trying to do a reasonable system, is we take a C3, put it in the dash. We take the Kenwood 6.5-inch components, because they don't make them in the XR line, but we just take the regular 6.5 components. Right. We make the tweeter disappear. We just take the mid bass and put the mid bass into the front.
Okay.
And we put the 174s, the 6.5-inch, in the top. And we use what's the marine version of the 802.5?
The XM 8025.
There you go. The silver one.
Yeah.
And we put that up underneath the seat with the Metro brackets. We use the Metro pods for both top and bottom. And then depending on the sub, we vary depending on the criteria that the customer has for the subwoofer, whether it's a hard top, soft top, whether it can go on the back door or just a downframe box in the back. But as far as making a complete kit, Kenwood basically has all the pieces. It's just you have to know to put them all together.
Yeah.
And so, it sounds really nice.
That's why I was looking at you.
I know. Yeah. Well, I thought you were just, do you know something I don't know? Yes, but I can't tell them either.
Yeah.
The last thing I'm going to do is going to be the guy to come on and say something I'm not.
I'm not going to say it. We're under the same.
It's a big difference if you say something wrong and I say something wrong.
Right? Oh God. We actually had that happen once.
I can imagine.
Oh, it was so bad for that person.
Yeah.
Oh man, I felt bad too afterwards because like, wow, man, you
I like my job. I want to keep it.
I would never. I would never do that to you.
No, I know you wouldn't.
Greetings from the Netherlands. What's your opinion on the Genesis amplifiers made in England, especially the shiny version from a couple years ago? Have you ever seen these? The Genesis amplifier? I'm not really up on the Genesis stuff either. I mean, I've seen it, but I've never had the opportunity to I saw it when I was in Europe when we did the Emma thing, which you would love that, by the way.
Yeah, it looked like a good time.
In
the picture
awesome.
This all. Plus, you got to hang out with Tommy, right?
Tommy got to hang out with me.
No, sorry.
Tommy got to hang out with Doug. Let me rephrase it. Tommy got to hang out with Doug and us.
Yeah,
Doug and myself.
Yeah.
Because we brought Tommy along. Plus, he had the credit card. So
that's an important.
That was important.
Yeah, that's an important part.
He's the young guy though. You got two old guys and this young guy, and you're just going, you don't know anything, do you? So, all right. So here, Lance is chiming in. Mr. Boss, Lance Doss. Those Genesis amps are sick. Apparently, they have COVID. Who knew? No. Yeah. So there you go. If they get Lance's approval, that's good enough for me because I trust Lance.
There you go.
Good deal.
2018 GMC Sierra Kenwood X2s in the dash, Alpine S-Type 6x9 component woofer in the front door, and an Alpine coax 6.5 in the rear door. Factory radio with kicker 360.4 amp. That's my plan. What do you guys think? All right, what are we doing? Factory radio. Okay, with the kicker. Okay, so I'm guessing it's non-Bose. You're a big fan of bi-amping, right?
Yeah.
We taught a whole class on that.
We did, yeah.
Okay. So basically what you got here is C2s in the dash, 6x9 mid-bass in the door, and a 4-channel amplifier, which has 6 speakers.
Right.
And C2s and C3s do really well when you can put them on their own channel. Just like this truck, this is getting some CX illusions, but either way. So what you really want is 6 channels of power. Now, Kenwood does make a 6-channel amplifier in the Marine line, which is the exact same amplifier as the 360.4. It's like a 500.6 or 600.6 or something like that. It's a little bit more money. I would strongly recommend buying that amplifier to power this system, so that you could have each one of those speakers on their own channel. Because just like when we were out tuning your car and we were playing with the levels.
Right, yeah.
The mix between the dash and the door is crucial. Because you have, what, C2s in your... Or do you have the
I have the 1801Ps.
Okay, so you have the big tweeter.
But I am thinking about switching them out to the 6902Cs.
Yeah.
Nice. 6x9
you would like that. Now, we've done this system a lot.
Yeah.
But we use the 6902s, which is just basically the Exxon version.
Yeah.
But if you've already got the 360.4, what I would suggest doing is putting the C2s on channels 1 and 2, the mid bass on 3 and 4, and then just running the rears off of the deck power, maybe throwing some 99 or 63 or 65 microfarad caps on those just for bass blockers. And then just fade it to the front some because you're going to have a gain differential there. But it would be 100% better sound than trying to play that 2.5 and that 6x9 at the same level. It's just not. It's not going to be fun. Now you're still going to want to put the crossover on the C2s. They come with the little bass blocker. You're going to use that whether you go active or not, because none of the Kenwood amplifiers will go up high enough in the crossover point for that speaker. So definitely use the cap, but I would do that.
All right. So it's not that this 2018 GMC Sierra has a funky EQ from the factory.
So the problem you're going to run into is that you're going to get a ding really loud.
Oh, those are the worst. I hated those.
Yeah. Because you're not doing a DSP, so you have no way to control the dings. Your ding is going to be super loud. 2 solutions for that would be you can go back to the dealer and you can ask them to turn the chime down, because it is a dealer thing that they can do. Because if you go into the radio settings, it only turns down part way.
Hey, Osvaldo.
You can go in and have them turn it down the rest of the way, or you can get a DSP that will allow you to add an EQ band to where the ding is at. And it's really nice. Something like simple DSP. You don't have to go too crazy. You could DSR1, a Arc Audio PSM Pro, an audio control, DM608, audiocontrol.com. DM608 would solve the problem too. That would give you the ability to bring it down. And of course, the third option would be, because there's always a third option, is 2018. You could go with a. He does. He has great posture. It looks like that's because he's a drummer.
You guys sit a lot.
You could go with the Stinger High 10, because they make a dash kit radio replacement for that truck that looks fabulous. Did you know that? I know it's not a Kenwood, but still.
All right,
they make a good kit.
It looks really good. Okay.
This is for the same GMC.
Yes, and the fourth option. Thank you, Mel. I totally forgot about that. If it's non-Bose, why not do the GM? Well, yeah, that's the High 10 kit. Yeah, you do the High 10 kit. Oh, the other thing you could do too, if it's non-Bose, I forgot, you do an Amp Pro.
Right there.
Yeah. Or you could do. Thank you. I was going to say, because the GM AP4 that would also be. But at that point, you're going to need a DSP because you're going to have no equalization capability whatsoever. So it's just going to kind of sound flat and boring. So there's a lot of options for that. It's the paparazzi.
Jeremy is like the one guy that I know if I see like Jeremy mentioned you in a comment, like I'm about to be flattered. He just does a good job at it.
Yeah.
Either that or it's always safe travels. Anytime I go anywhere, he's the first person to comment on a status, safe travels.
So you remember how we were talking about, and by the way, this segment is brought to you by Audio Control. Head over to audiocontrol.com and check out the new Epicenter Mexican edition. That's right. It's shiny, it's cool, and it's got the Mexican flag on it.
That was close.
That was an intentional slip. Anyways, check it out.
Ooh.
Okay, so the first trip we went on to Knowledge Fest, remember I said our first trip was sponsored by Amp Global.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeremy worked for Amp Global back then.
Yeah.
And so he kind of became our liaison for one of the live shows we did.
Okay.
And so back then, our live show, we would set up in the booth and we'd bring in dealers from everywhere to tell. And the premise for the idea was, tell us who you are, tell you where you're from, tell us a little about your store.
Okay.
And what we thought would be cool is we'd let people do this so that, like, hey, the guy came on from Washington and you live in Washington, then you'd be like, oh, I'm going to go check this guy out.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jeremy would go and grab people for us because everyone is timid. You know, they don't want to do that. So he would grab anyone. And so it was great. And we were like, oh my God. So the next year we were so excited. We're like, dude, you going? Yeah, I'm going again. And then he's like, oh, I quit. I'm like, what? Yeah, I'm not going to be there. I'm like, God, oh man, sucks. So
no, man, I love catching up with him anytime I get a chance to. We were hanging out in Canada a little bit too.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ran into him.
No, I did.
Yeah.
Yep. No, we stood at the bar for many hours.
Yep.
It was a lot of fun. It wasn't really big, you know.
It was, yeah.
I was gonna say it wasn't like there was tons of people. Yep, he's 5 feet away. Yep. So, anyways.
All right.
How do you feel about the Dodge Ram?
What about just the truck in general?
Yeah. How do you feel about Dodge Rams? What's your favorite truck?
I'm an F-150 guy.
Really?
Yeah. Which is sad because I drive a Tacoma, right?
Yeah.
I know. It's
kind of F-150s, man.
Yeah. No, my next vehicle will be an F-150. Yeah.
Oh, will it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you're going to see Josh in a Chevy.
Yeah.
No.
I own 3 Dodge Rams.
Yeah.
I've owned 3. Not for any, actually, the only reason why I bought the first one is because I drove Alpine. I did some work as a rep, and I had to drive the Alpine Dodge Ram around. And so I fell in love with it. So when I stopped doing that job, I was like, man, I just bought a brand new Honda Accord. And I was like, man, I'm going to trade this in on a Dodge Ram. My wife was like, you're insane. Well, yeah, but if my payments are the same, can I do it? She was like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
So I went into the Dodge dealership and I said, all right, so here's the deal. I have this car. This is all the information on it. And I want a Dodge Ram. So, but this is all I can pay. And they're like, okay, give us a day. We'll call you back. Call me the next day. And they're like, hey, we have a truck. You want it? I was like, hell yeah. So she was like, you're insane. I was like, but that started the fascination with Dodge Rams. I have a 15 Ram Dilemma, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kenwood, DMX 706S, Maestro R, no reverse when shifting to reverse, but works pressing the cam button. So the fader balance messed up. Driver's front is on with passenger rear and passenger. Okay, so all right. So here's what you need to do. You need to open up the iData instructions again, and in the you know where I'm going with this.
I know exactly where you're going.
So in the iData instructions in the middle of the page, it shows 2 options for the cool plugs that are the speaker wires. So as far as the reverse cam not working, that's something you need to pull the radio out and see what the orange-white wire is doing. I'm sorry, see what the I was thinking Alpine.
Mm-hmm.
Think what the purple-white wire is doing
you
when you put it in reverse, because there's no reason why that shouldn't work. In the 706, obviously you have to go in and turn on the camera in feature. Some people don't know to do that, so you have to go into the menu and turn that on. But back to the original problem, that you have a premium audio system, I'm guessing, and when you have that, you have to switch. There is front and rear have to switch.
Yep.
Because on a premium audio system, if you've ever watched any of the videos we do on any of the Chrysler products, we ask, is it a 4 or an 8? So when you pull it out and you look at the plug, are there 4 speaker wires, not pairs, 4 speaker wires or 8 speaker wires? If there's 4 speaker wires, it's a premium audio system. That means that the signal that's going to feed the amplifier is going to come out of the rear channels. So you need to put the front channels to the rear. All right. So on iData, they make it real easy. They give you 2 plugs and you just switch them.
Yep.
So it makes it super simple. Your Bluetooth probably doesn't work all that well either.
I was gonna say in-call volume is probably
not
great,
great,
especially in CarPlay if you have it.
Yep. Yeah. So that's a real common problem with Chryslers.
Look at that. See, you're about to be gay. What? 60?
Oh, he's talking about the picture from earlier. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Sorry, it took me a second.
No, that's okay.
I almost commented on that and said, "Oh, look, Chunky Dean," but I was like, "Nah."
Yeah, it's okay. Danny did.
Okay,
so it's all right.
Yeah.
Danny Camacho did, so it's all right. Hey, it's we all go through those moments in our life. How many speakers does your GMC have? I'm thinking they're asking about the other GMC.
Mm-hmm.
It's either going to have 6 or 7. Because if it's a Bose system, it has 7. If it's a truck it just has 6. So they add a little subwoofer.
I was gonna say, are you including the sub at 7?
That'd be 7.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's why I was trying to think 7. I'm like,
have you ever heard the Canyon system?
No, I haven't.
It's like the Bose system in the Canyon sounds really, really good.
I remember one of the newer Escalades towards the end of my install career was pretty impressive.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I hate Escalades.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Stinger RCAs compared to T-Spec RCAs. No comparison. I recently switched to T-Spec and have a much fuller sound. Well, hey, all right, man. Okay. Which 2 did you have? I think would be the more appropriate question. Did you just go from like a 4,000?
What serious? Yeah.
Because I feel in any RCA, if you start at like a 4,000 and you jump up to like 3 levels above it, it's kind of no comparison.
Mm-hmm.
It's the nice thing about RCAs, they make great noise filters. Well, Randy is, right? Okay, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So they were putting a set of 9,000 series Stingers in a car.
Okay.
And the car had noise. And they were like, "Oh shit, what the hell? Something's wrong with the equipment." And they're like, No, it's the RCAs. Because the resolution in the RCA was so much better. So they pulled them out real quick and threw like a 4,000 series in there, and the noise was gone.
Right.
And they're like, "Oh yeah." So it shows so much more detail with the better RCA.
Right.
And there again, I always like, to me, and I know a lot of people out there look at that as that's like saying that speakers need to break in.
Mm-hmm.
Your speakers just need to break in, and you're like, whatever. And then they break in, and you go, holy crap, these sound like amazing.
Sound a lot better, yeah.
Yeah. So, are the Focal Flax PS165 components worth the price, as in quality, loudness of the speakers? How do you feel about Focal?
I mean, when I was in retail, we sold Focal, and the Flax speakers were my go-to. That's what I sold for every job I could. Yeah.
Every job you could?
Yeah, I would actually even sell those over the K2s.
I know a lot of people that do that.
Yeah, it was the mid-bass. I really felt like they did a better job in the mid-bass, and I'm a mid-bass guy.
Well, it was funny because when Nick Wingate built his truck that he won with that one year, a couple years, I don't know, 5 years ago, it had the Illusion C3 3.5s in the dash and a set of Flax mid-bass.
Yeah.
And he started with M's and then the K2s, and Flax were the winners.
I don't know what they did, but I just think
I don't either.
When they did that, what was it, like 20th or 25th anniversary edition where they brought out those with like the K2 components with the Flax cone?
Yeah.
I almost pulled the trigger on it.
Really?
Very close, because I love the Flax that much. Yeah.
I think that answered your question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for playing along.
Shameless plug, though. I think our XR 1801Ps do a really good job in the mid.
Oh, okay. So, XR. Okay.
There you go.
All right. To be fair, it's not a shameless plug because before the 6902, 6903s came out, that was our go-to. Like, I have a 6x9 in my front door to what I do, so we would plug the 7-inch.
Yeah.
And we would call those the mid-bass monsters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're great.
The problem with the older ones, though, is that the tweeter was very lackluster. It was very like, hey guys, I'm a tweeter.
Yeah. And now it's titanium.
And now it actually has some cojones.
Right.
But now we have a 6902 and a 6903, so it's like,
right. All three good choices. My decision to possibly switch to the 6902s is solely just because I want to hear them in my truck.
So the really cool thing about switching to the 6902s in your truck is that, like, in your radio you have a shelf filter.
Mm-hmm.
So when you put those 6902s in there, if they sound a little timid,
mm-hmm.
you easily go into the shelf filter and you just grab, you go like this, and then instead of having to sit there and go,
right, yeah,
that shelf filter, you just go like this.
Move all those
and
together.
My dude, they go
come to life.
Well, because I've showed you the output of those.
Mm-hmm.
It's reasonably flat,
right? Yeah,
but it's nice and level all the way across. So it has it's not peaky like most of those loudspeakers are, or I'm sorry, most of the little middlers are. So by having the 13 or the 10-inch touchscreen with all the cool EQ settings, the parametric, you can choose a shelf filter. I love just that to me is.
Those have been out for what, 3 years, and I still, even this last trip I just took up in like the New England area week before last, I was still teaching dealers about features that are in that they had no idea existed, which is crazy to me because they've been around so long, but there's just so much technology in them that it's.
Well, the other thing too is I feel like a lot of guys they put a radio in a car and they walk it out the door,
right? Yeah,
and it's like for us, like last week we did this Mustang, and the problem was this 2017 Mustang with a Coyote. So this guy's going to keep this thing for it's his baby.
Right.
Like he drove it here all the way from Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah, that guy.
That's a hike.
Yeah, to put in this Alpine system because he wanted all the new Alpine R-Type speakers and he wanted the Alpine amps, the Alpine subs, and we were going to do a DSR-1.
Okay.
And so we're talking, and he's like, what?
No. He's actually. It's funny that you
okay, so we're going to
that.
talk about the new R-Type speakers.
Yep.
So
I'll be back with the other
you've
question.
seen the new R-Type with the gray ones?
Mm-hmm. I have not seen
You haven't walked over and seen it? They were like in the booth next to you.
I don't get a lot of time to try.
I'm giving you. Anyways, so they're Kevlar. They went back to a normal size magnet, so it's not the neodymium that used to be on the older. I don't know if you've ever seen the older R-Types that they had for like. Okay, so there again, gray composite, gray woven cone, very nice. Tweeters are Alpine tweeters always break down to like it's like tweeter, and you're like Jesus Christ, it went from the softball down to this. The total opposite of a Sony.
Yeah.
So, anyways, the debate we were having was DSR-1 or new radio.
Okay.
And it was like, I go, listen, we should do the new radio because, it's a 2017. You already hate your radio that's in there. We can do an MFT1 kit. It'll all plug in, air conditioning, all that shit. All that stuff works.
Yeah.
And then because it was either the DSR-1 or this. We didn't have the budget to do both because we were already really high. And I was like, let's do the floating screen because we get the parametric EQ. And he's like, I just don't like the way it looks in my car. So we settled on a 958.
Okay.
And as soon as we were done, we went right to tune it. So you go right in, you adjust the time alignment, which I showed you the trick for that.
Yep.
Which wasn't that silly?
Yeah.
It takes all of how much time?
I don't know, 10 minutes maybe.
If that.
Yeah,
I mean, that was just me. That was me cussing most of the time.
Right.
But I mean, I don't even think it takes 10 minutes once you've done it once or twice, and then grab the iTest mic or UTest mic, whichever you had, and we did a quick tune on it and took it out to the customer, and he was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe we got the sound, out of this." And I was like, "He's like, this is amazing," and I was like, "Yeah," and these guys aren't doing that.
Yeah,
and I think it sucks.
I think a lot of it is like what you said is, they get the job done and then they get it out.
Well, if they had a boss like you had at your last place, I mean, I could. Jesus, what?
But you just some people, it's just you get wrapped up in the day, right? I don't ever attribute it to anything other than I know what it's like to be in an install bay and be pressured to get one job out and the next job in. So
that's where I like where we're at now. Is that to me, in my thought process, which I think is reflected in the show, is that the car I'm working on is the most important thing that I have in front of me right now. And I'm not, until I'm satisfied with that vehicle, it's not going anywhere.
Right. No, totally different environment here.
But it wasn't. It's just a matter of we've made it that way because it's like, until I'm happy, it's not going. And we're going to waste time and figure it out and get it to sound the best that we can. Because at the end of the day, like, you own a house now.
I do.
And you got to buy a roof.
Well, I mean, I I don't.
I thought you had. Oh no, wasn't you had a
No.
roof? Do you ever have to replace your water heater?
No, haven't done that yet either.
Oh my god, wait till that happens.
I don't want it to. If it does, I'm actually just gonna go to the electric water heaters. It's just.
Oh, I know. I wanted
water.
that too, but I didn't. They just fixed it and didn't ask.
So I'm kind of actually waiting for the day that mine goes out.
Yeah,
because it's the excuse I need.
It still sucks though because it's like money. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh my god. Okay, sorry, went off on a tangent there, guys. Hey guys, how's the sound on the new Alpine R2 subs? You recently installed on the Mustang, Coyote, SQ worthy, comparable to which other brands? Fernando, you love the way this car sounded.
Yeah.
Like
They sounded really good, and
really
that was
enjoyed
just like from the Kenwood radio, and it came out really nice.
How did you like the sound of the subs?
The sub,
I mean, we've done a couple of those now.
Yeah, see, for me, I always turn the subs all the way down, and I want to hear the mid basses, and the tweeters, or whatever 2.5s that we have. So I love them. Yeah, they sound really good.
Yeah. So there you go. Moving on. Mike
All right.
Rios is in the
What's
house.
up, Mike?
What's up, Mike?
Hang on. What's up, fellas? Any chance the factory EQ on the 2012 TSX comes from the factory head unit or the amplifier? It has the premium sound system.
I if memory serves on that one, it's built into the amplifier. Yeah.
Yep.
It's built into the amp. So if you go before the amplifier, it's probably not variable voltage, but if you go before the amplifier, you should get a clean signal. However, the thing you have to keep in mind with some of the Hondas is how they're doing their Bluetooth. If the 2012 has Bluetooth calling, which I'm assuming it does, that may be your issue, because a lot of the times too, the noise correction or echo cancellation is also in the factory amplifier. So you can get a great signal, but then when you go to make a phone call, you can make a phone call, you make a phone call, you make a phone call. Hey.
All right, so this is the follow-up.
Replaced all the speakers with Polk DB series, was going to power them with the new Alpine 4-channel, but wasn't sure if I'm going to run into EQ problems and then need a DSP. Thanks. So the easiest thing to do in something like this is what we call speaker for speaker. Have you ever heard us talk about that before?
Oh, yeah.
So you get a car that has 10 speakers of active sound or 8 speakers of active sound.
Okay.
And there's no interface for it. There's no Amp Pro, there's no DSR, there's no AR, there's no Mobridge, there's no Zen A to B, there's no nothing. So what do you do? Depends what the criteria is, but one of the easiest solutions to do is do what we call speaker for speaker, power for power. So if you have if you go into the car and you count the channels, so it's like you have a channel for tweeters, channels for mid bass, channels for rear, and it's active in the rear, so that's 8 channels and a channel for sub. So eventually you end up with 10 channels of audio.
Sure.
If you're fine with the way it sounds, you just want it louder, then you add 10 channels of amplification to it, high level, and you're golden, because you're not screwing anything up. Where the problem comes in is people will buy a 4-channel amp and they have 8 channels of output, and they'll be like, I want a sum, or they just want to make it magically work somehow.
Right.
And when an amplifier has like that, it has the premium audio where there's a delay and there's surround and there's all this nonsense. And if it has a center, that also counts, because you need to re-amplify the center. So it gets weird.
Sure.
It can get weird real fast. So that's one of those things where it's just figuring out what you actually want to amplify. A lot of times in those, we'll do what we call the front stage upgrade, which is just where we concentrate on the front of the car. Right. Not so much worry about the back. Yeah. Because it's just rear fill.
I was going to say rear fill. I mean, I don't have my back speakers amplified in my truck.
Yeah. But Sage would say rear is cool, but you have to have a Moscone DSP. Hi, guys. There you go. It's a Ranger. Would you get a Ranger?
I think that's the reason I want to switch from a Tacoma to an F-150.
You want the bigger truck?
Yeah. Well, if I wanted to stay in a smaller truck, I would get a Ranger. But
no, I get it. Big trucks are cool. 21 Ford Ranger, 8-inch non-amplified system. Would you play with coding in Forescan or change out the head unit? This is that tough one, because as much as I like to just leave it alone because it's an 8-inch screen, I would go into iData first and see if iData makes any solutions for this, because that would be my first. See if like you can use an AR in this of any kind. because that would save a bunch of headaches. If they don't make an AR for it, and you're like, I don't want to change out that something with a lot of DSP, like a new Moscone. I'm sorry, like a new Forza. Moscone would work too. Would give you the ability to integrate into it. But at the end of the day, if you just hate that Ford radio, then yes, switch it out. Click it.
Oh,
just click it.
Yep. I've got the power.
You got the power.
You got the power.
You do it, man. Okay. This is a great question. And I was going to call and ask you guys about this, and I didn't. So I'm glad he remembered to ask us again.
Yep.
How do you turn off the source in my 1057 so it doesn't rotate through all of them? Can you do that?
Yes, you can. And that's why I saw it. And I was like, let's grab that.
Question I can answer.
Yeah. Well, I can answer a lot.
I know. You're doing great. You're doing great.
No, I wanted to point that out because like earlier we were talking about how, I meet dealers that still don't know all the features that that receiver has. And that's another one that's a great one. We actually added the ability to go into the accessory controls. That's another one I talk about often. The source setup. So we can actually disable the features that we don't want to use so that when we're using the steering wheel controls, we don't scan through them. So a perfect example is if you have an iPhone customer like myself and we're using wireless Apple CarPlay, but you hit the mode button and change to wireless mirroring on the receiver is automatically going to shut down the wireless CarPlay connection because it's now looking for an Android device to connect for wireless mirroring. So you can actually turn that off in our source setup inside of the receiver. So if you go into the settings in the receiver, it's actually on the first page, if I'm not mistaken, inside of it. But you can go select source setup, and then you'll see all of the sources listed, and you just tap which ones you want to turn off. And then you scroll right past them.
That's so cool.
I think it's pretty cool.
I mean, it took them forever to figure that out.
I think it's cool. I think it's another one of those great features.
Yeah.
That's just
that was always one of the things that drove me absolutely crazy with Kenwood. Hi, Mary Lou. How you doing?
Hey, well, she's right there.
Josh is in the house.
Yes.
So Lance is, I think, chiming in on the Ford where he said use DSP ARC amp on it. Works great. So there you go. As I said. Yeah, I'm good. Do your thing. Do your thing. Do you know where the ding EQ frequency on a 2009 Cherokee? I have audio control D61200 and would love to ditch the ding. So I'm guessing you integrated into it high level would be my guess. We would never do that.
No.
That would always just be an Amp Pro because every Chrysler there's either an Amp Pro or AR module for. So
yeah, you go to
I would not do high level.
Pack Audio.
However, since you already have it and it's already in, all you have so I'm guessing it's an LC. That's where the problem lies. So if you have an LC 61200, then you don't know. But if you have a D61200, all you have to do is go to the input page and it'll show you on the RTA.
So Mr. Chrysler over here,
Mr. Phantom Chris, it's between 700 and 800 hertz. But if you have a D61200 on the input screen on your when you go to input, there's the input RTA. All you have to do is turn the scale down and watch it ding, and it'll ding right at the frequency that it's making. You can do that for any application. It's like you have a Chevy or you have a Chrysler. But for that car, I would totally use an Amp Pro. And then it's not an issue at that point, and it actually sounds better. A lot better. Chris, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's got a high 10 in his, so he's
special.
But he's got a Chrysler with a high 10. Yeah, he's so cool. You know Phantom Chris?
Yeah, I know Chris.
Mm-hmm. Sure?
I think so.
I'm joking. Yeah. What do you use for a 2022 Ford F-150 to get a signal to an amp? Are we talking sub? And there again, is this non-BO, BO? If it's a non-BO, even if it is a BO, if we're just doing a subwoofer, you're grabbing one of the front doors. Don't grab the subwoofer. For God's sakes, don't grab the subwoofer. The thing you have to keep in mind with all these Fords, there's a lot of things that you need to know beforehand. So what size engine is it? So if it's a bigger engine, like the 3.2 liter, it may have automatic noise canceling or ANC, which is in Ford is fake engine noise. Yay! Don't you love that? Mm-hmm. In that case, you have a couple options to shut that off. You can go back to the dealer. They usually charge like $120 and they'll shut it off. You can try your hand at ForScan, which means you got to buy a $30 little programmer, and some software from Russia. That's about $80, I think. And then you can find a YouTube video and pray to God you don't screw up any of the other coding in your car. And that's kind of it for right now. Now, if it's a BO system, then you can pick the BO system out and put all amplifiers in, at which case you'd either get like a Zen A to B, or you get the Pack Amp Pro A to B that just came out.
I love these guys, man.
Or a Mobridge. Yeah. What?
Oh, it's just that.
BO bingo.
Yeah, I know. It's
Yeah. Yep.
I thought that was dumb when Bang & Olufsen went to BO.
BNO, yeah.
BNO. It's like, can we just call it Bang & Olufsen?
You're just missing the ING, and then you got it.
Yeah, I know. But it's a BO. It's like we all know what BO is, right? It's stinky.
Or that,
smelly
yeah.
crap.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
I was stuck on the bingo thing.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking of stinky, smelly crap. And honestly, I think when that, I just think it's crap because everyone hates it. Can you update the 2018 9905S with a source setup?
Yeah, no, the source setup only lives in the 10-inch receivers right now. So they're the only ones that are set up to be able to do that.
It's funny because I'm sure you get the question a lot when people ask, "Hey, can they update this software to some like new feature that the newer radios have?"
Mm-hmm.
And I feel bad because it's like, no, the Japanese will never do that.
Yeah, well, but some of those require more internals, right?
Yeah.
So as things come out, like our HD cameras, for example,
yep.
the 740 HD, those only work on specific receivers with the right hardware, and not every Kenwood radio has it. So
right.
I can't tell you how many calls I get, which I hate getting the call, where I had one the other day, a guy called and said, hey, I just got done doing a 740 HD on the front and rear of this Mini Coupe, and I ran it into a DMX 908S, I think is what it was, or 958 XR. I'm sorry. And he was like, in the front mirror or front image is showing up, but it's not mirrored. And I was like, man, that's why we advertise it front compatible on the 10s, because the 10s are the only ones that actually have the ability to
flip the image.
Flip it. Yeah. So, but yeah, there's hardware limitations to a lot of stuff too. So unfortunately, we can't just update everything to have it all.
You got to, man. You got to.
I know.
one and done.
It is a good question, though.
Buy one radio for life. Yeah. Okay. Do I need to use LGDs with the new Kia has Bose? Yes. You got to use LGDs on all the new cars. More than likely, that's going to need the LGD greens. It's just the new way of life, man.
Is there more than one LGD now?
There's blue, green, and gray.
Oh,
but green seems to be the one that works with most of the current vehicles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a low enough ohm load that will trigger the amplifiers to thinking that they're safe.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I have a 2016 GMC Yukon with Bose. I want to use an Audison F5111 bit amp under seats. Is there more to this? And
that's it.
Maybe it entered before you finished typing.
It could have been. Yeah. It could have been. It happens. Perfectly great amplifier. There again, the cool thing about that amplifier is that it's the M511, which means it has 5 channels of power, but 11 channels of DSP. So it's got 6 more channels of DSP out. There's can I use
channel 1 and 2?
On what? Okay, now
that was the first question.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Either way, if it's a 2016 with Bose, to me, I feel like this is an Amp Pro GM61. So if you get an Amp Pro GM61 for this, that'll give you RC outputs, and you can do whatever you want. So the reality is you just need to get a signal that it knows what to do with, and that there's enough channels to power what up you want to power. Trying to deal with the Bose system with a 5-channel amplifier is next to impossible. But if you put an Amp Pro in front of it, then you can do anything you want, because that's just going to give you front, rear, and sub output, as opposed to all the many Bose joyable things that you have to deal with. So Amp Pro GM61 in front of it, and then rock on. And then the cool thing about the Amp Pro is that if you want to keep the Bose system functioning, you can. So if you just want to use it for front stage, you can do that. Otherwise, redo the whole thing.
All right. So in this one,
if it's an LC 61200, you can run speakers with a ding into front high and then turn it down.
that was the.
Yeah, no, I got it. Yeah.
If it's an LC.
I'm just trying to think how that would work. Yeah. I don't see that working. But okay. Yeah, we'll go with Chris. I still don't see it working. Because it's going to be the front mid bass. And then, yeah, anyways. What was the gentleman's... Oh, okay, good. Oh, now they're getting personal. All right, love it. What was the gentleman's first car stereo? What was your first car that you put a stereo in?
Well, the first car that I put a stereo in was a 1982 Honda Prelude.
Was that your car or your friend's car?
It was my friend's car.
Okay, what did you put in?
I couldn't even tell you what I put in that.
Wasn't that long ago. Come on, man.
I mean, come on. I started dabbling with my friends' cars when I was like 14. So it was 18 years ago.
I'm sorry, I have perfect recall. I just assume.
So I should have it written down in a notebook somewhere.
Yeah, you should. Okay, so what was your first car that you put a stereo in?
So my first car that I put a stereo in was a 1984 Chevrolet Camaro.
Ooh, wow. Mm-hmm. Okay, 1984. What did you put in the rear of it?
Like subs?
Yeah. What'd you put?
So Planet Audio.
Did you just make a baffle board and throw 2 subs in there?
Yes.
Okay, typical Camaro move. Yep. Got it. Sounded great.
It was super simple, and everyone thought it was 12s. It was 2 8s.
Yep.
Very nice.
And then as far as I never changed the door speakers.
Why would you?
I was 16 and worked part-time, didn't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that was where, we always cheaped out. We wanted a radio and we wanted subs.
Cassette deck?
Yeah. No. So back then was the Chameleon series from JVC.
Yep.
Was fresh.
Yeah.
And I wanted that with everything in me. So I saved up as much as I could to get one of the singled in El Chameleons that had the video on screen. Yeah. So now in full fairness, I think I borrowed a Pioneer from one of my friends.
Yep.
And I used that until I could get the Chameleon in there.
Okay.
So, and then I got the Chameleon in there.
Standard GM where it was a singled in, so it stuck out of the radio like you
have. Of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, back then I was so proud of it.
All right. So what was the first stereo you built that you were like, yeah, I'm a grown up now?
I was a senior in high school, so I interned.
Wow, not too much longer.
Yeah, not too much longer. I interned.
Okay.
We had internships my senior year, so I interned at the car audio shop I ended up working at.
Okay.
And I had a Volkswagen Golf.
Oh,
GTI.
There you go, Fernando.
Yeah. The GTI. It was like a 2004 or something like that. Yeah. And at the time, I think it was JL, had launched Total Mobile Audio. Do you remember that TMA?
Mm-mm.
It was the predecessor to the JX, I think, series or something like that. Yeah. And they came out with those, and I had 410s that I built a box for, and I did it ported in that. And I remember for a while there, at least, I had the loudest car in high school. So that was my first time where I was like, you know what? I think I know how this works. And then started. So
did you do any mids and highs?
So in that one, I did. I actually did the entire car with all of their TMA series. So the point behind it was to prove that even though it was an entry-level product, it could still sound good and it could still get loud.
So you actually tried to do that, like prove a point back then?
I did, yeah. Wow. That was the point behind it. So, like I said, I was interning at the shop that I ended up working at. So I wanted to have 410, which I think the subs were like $60.
Oh, yeah.
They were super affordable. And we changed the entire system out. I used their 4-channel, and then I had the mono block of 1,000 watt. I think subs took like 250 watts each. So it was just a 1,000 watt mono block, and it was super loud. I loved it. But that was my first.
That was your first
I'm a grown up in car audio moment. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And then what was your favorite system you ever built for yourself?
For myself?
Yeah. What was your like? This is the coolest thing. I wish I would have kept this kind of moment. Where you're like. Yeah. I
gotta be honest though, throughout the majority of my install career, it was like kind of like the plumber always had bad
plumbing. I can totally relate.
I never had a system for myself that I was like, this is super awesome and I love it. So until now, I like the way my truck sounds now. So, I mean, there's nothing flashy about it, right? It's all OEM looking. You get in the truck, you never know that there's there.
Well, there's a big 10-inch in the dash, but
Yeah, well, I mean, with exceptions to that, as far as, but you can't see, I have one 5-channel, like we talked about earlier with bi-amping. So my 5 channels running 2 channels to the tweeters, 2 channels to the doors, and then 5th channel's running the subs in the back. And
okay,
yeah, I like it. It sounds good and clean, and
right.
That's it. So, high school, it was I want 410s to be loud, and in my 30s, I just want to enjoy the music.
Yes.
So
okay,
yeah,
there you go. Have had my DDX 376 for about 2 years. Recently can't play Pandora or Spotify via USB. Have tried resetting and nothing. Any advice? Ooh. So what changed?
Let's see. As far as what changed, I mean, depending on what device it is, right? So like if it's an Android, for example, Android doesn't play that through USB. They only offer that to be covered on Bluetooth.
Right.
But in this case, it sounds like they were saying it was working and it stopped working. So I guess if we kind of go down the river on that, the only thing that could have changed would have possibly been an update on the phone.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
To maybe create some kind of an issue there.
Yeah. So this is the problem that happens when. So I always, obviously, we get this every now and then too in the store and in person, and someone will come and say something stopped working, and it's the radio, and it's like, well, time out. The radio isn't capable of updating itself.
Right, yeah.
So one of two things has happened. Either the device that you're trying to use it with has updated, which they now all auto-update, so you very rarely know when something auto-updates. Or 2, that feature in the radio has broke. The likelihood of it breaking is possible, but usually pretty thin. And how you can test that is just plug any other USB device in there and see if it works. So if you plug a thumb drive in there and it can communicate, then you know that, no, the bus is still capable of reading. So that means that something in the device has changed. But those would be the only 2 things, and the easiest way to test it is throw some music on a thumb drive, plug it into the thumb drive, and see if it can still read that. If it can, then that means that communication is still open. It's just the device you're plugging in no longer can communicate because they shut that down.
I do also see a fair amount of issues with like USB flush mounts after some time.
Yes.
Right. So if you're using a flush mount of any kind, I'd maybe try to disconnect that and go directly to the USB on the radio to see if there's a change.
Or change the cable.
Yep.
Yeah. Good call. Yeah. There you go.
Couple thoughts.
Tech support. My F-150 is non-amplified, no BO, no Sony. I'm running a sub amp and highs amp. I ordered the pack T-harness and the kicker key to flatten signal. Is this the best way? So it depends on what year it is. That way will work. That way will work fine. However, if it falls within the year that iData makes a solution for it, the best solution is to just go with an iData AR with their T-harness, and you take the AR, you go to the computer, you flash the AR to tell it what make, year, model, and the factory radio, and they give you options. You can actually tell the AR to reprogram the non-amplified radio to 4-volt output, to 4-volt output with the factory EQ, or keep the output and just give me a sub. So in a case, it's extremely cool.
I didn't know it did that.
We didn't either. They added all that recently because originally you could just tell it to take the factory radio and reprogram it to a 4-volt output EQ flat.
That's cool.
It'll also shut off ANC. So that's the easiest solution for it. Just get the iData AR and their T-harness. It's a DFO2. And then what you do is you get in the car, you turn the radio on, you flick the turn signals, you pull the emergency brake, you'll hear some kind of, the radio reboots twice, and everything's flat 4-volt. So not saying that you can't do it with the key lock. You can totally do it with the key lock. It's just easier the other way and cheaper. Hey, Josh, what do you think of the Kenwood XR 901.5 and a 2022 Chevy Tahoe? It's non-Bose, 6 speakers.
So, I mean, the 901.5 is what I have in my truck. So, obviously, I like the amp.
Yeah, it's a great amp.
It's a great amp.
A lot of power.
It's plenty of power. I also love how thin it is. So, it's really easy to hide in your mount, right? Like I said earlier, my truck's an OEM install. So, as far as 6 speakers, 6 speakers, I would assume what components on the front, right?
It's 2020.
Yeah,
so it's 2.5, 6x9s, and 6.
Yeah. Okay.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I think it could definitely work in that car. No problem.
Yep.
6902s, 6904s, 174s.
Yeah, and then a sub.
Yeah, I still like the front stage upgrade option better. Like if I'm even with the 901.5, I want to put it just on my fronts and my sub. And
well, that's why I was kind of stumbling there for a minute, because everything in me wanted to say just use 4 channels for the tweeters.
Oh, you can. That's you get to say it if that's what you want. You can say it. It's okay.
So
holy crap! Look at the time.
I know.
Yeah, it's fine. But I think I saw a comment earlier that said 1 minute left.
All right, guys. Hey, we'd like to thank our sponsors for the show this week, which of course are Audio Control and Focal America with the new K2 Power M's. Woo! You haven't seen these yet, have you?
I haven't. No.
Oh my God, they're so.
I've heard good things though.
Yeah. Oh, they're amazing. That tweeter is just it's. So it's the opposite of a middler. So it's like a twiddler.
Okay.
So it's a tweeter that'll play mid range. That thing will play down to like 600 hertz.
Really?
Low wattage, but
okay.
I mean the idea, because it's an actual driver, so it's not a tweeter. So it looks like a little tiny, like when you look at it, there's a whole gap and it looks like a little tiny sub. It's really cool. Just on the top, it looks like a giant Focal Flax tweeter.
I'm gonna have to look at it.
It's fucking cool. Oh, sorry. My bad. Sorry, kids. Hey, guys. Thank you so much for watching.
Just remove that one.
Yeah, I was going to. It's been a great time. Thank you, Josh, for spending some time with us today. I'm glad your other... I feel bad for the guy, but, I'm glad you could spend some time with us today and come on the show.
Yeah.
I hope we did. Hope Seth doesn't lose too much, whatever. Hope he's okay with letting you come on the show. Yeah.
I think he'd be okay.
I know.
Yeah. Well, my dinner plan's canceled, so here we are.
Josh and Tina are doing a great job. Thank you, Elias.
Oh, Elias, what's up? You still owe me a
tried.
sandwich. You have to give me my sandwich. So,
all right, guys. Hey, listen, if you want to follow us, you can follow us on Instagram, where, of course, we talk about what's going on in the Bay. Today we have this nice Jeep that we talked about. We'll probably be talking about that for the next couple days because it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And, of course, don't forget to tune in Friday morning at 9 o'clock for the news. Oh, yeah. And, then, of course, 6 o'clock Saturday, we'll be back answering your questions and having fun. And that's what we got. So you guys have a great rest of your day, and we will see you later next time. Thank you, Josh.
Bye, guys.